Hello, everyone. We'd like to thank you for joining our Ask Me Anything session for today. Looks like we still have some folks dialing in, so we'll go ahead and give everyone just a couple of minutes and we'll be back. We're just a couple of minutes past, so thank you everyone for joining our Ask Me Anything session. For those of you that just dialed in, we'll just go ahead and get started. Today, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Carol Kennedy. I'm an account manager with ApplicantStack. On the line, I also have Ellen and Lauren. Ellen's also an account manager, and Lauren is with our marketing team. And Ellen will be helping out with some questions today about our system. Our topic for today, we'd like to go ahead and cover our knowledge base and our support center in the system. We'll be going over how to submit a support ticket just to make sure that our support team can provide the best support possible. At the end of the presentation, we'll be sending out in the chat box a flyer regarding our recent product update, which is premium texting, and we'll also have links to some upcoming webinars in that chat box as well. We have a recruit webinar coming up in November and also an onboard webinar in early December. And those will be overall overviews of our system. We'll walk you through kind of from start to finish and give you just a good review of what those systems can do. We do ask that we keep the questions that may come up after the presentation today more general in nature. If you have something specific to your account or to your setup, everyone's configured differently, we would ask that we take those questions offline and we'll be better able to assist that way. So we'll have everybody submit their questions in the questions panel if you would, and we'll do our best to answer those for you today. With that, I'd like to go ahead and bring you into my demo account. It looks very similar to your ApplicantStack system. And our knowledge base and support center is available in this upper right corner, this orange box with the question mark in it. I'll go ahead and click on that. You can see we have a few areas here. We have new features and updates, help center, and ask a question. So we'll just go through those one by one. New features and updates will show you enhancements to the system, or if we have a new feature or functionality that's been rolled out, that will be announced here. So you can see, as we mentioned, premium texting is our new functionality that was just added. So you can click on this and learn a little bit more about that if you would like. We have our help center as well. So maybe you have a question about functionality or how to do something in the system. You can easily come into that help center and do a quick search. So we may have some videos for you, some guides with screenshots that will help you. So for example, I'm going to search on questionnaires, and we'll have a number of options that will pop up. So if I click on creating a questionnaire, you can see we have a video here that you are able to watch. Usually they're pretty short in nature, just to help you out. That's going to walk you through that process. We also have getting started guides available for you. That's going to be maybe a little bit more in depth. It's going to be a little bit longer, have some screenshots for you. Here is our Recruit Getting Started guide. Okay, so that's going to walk you through getting started with ApplicantStack. So anytime you have a question, how do I do this? You can easily come into the Help Center and search, and more than likely we'll have something available for you to help you out with that. Ask a question. If you have a question, how-to, functionality question, maybe you're having trouble logging into the system, maybe something doesn't appear to be working correctly, this will allow you to get in touch with our technical support team. And we just wanted to cover today the best way to put a ticket in to get you the quickest response from our support team to get your issue resolved as quickly as possible. So you'll simply fill in your name, your email, your company name or domain. We do ask that you use the company name as it's listed in the system. We have various companies that may be similar to somebody else. Just make sure that you put that in there as closely as you can to help us identify your account. If you have a franchise or a branch number, you'll want to put that in there. That's going to help our team identify which account to go into to take a peek at what's going on. You'll put a subject line in there, and you'll put a description in there as well. With the description, more details are always better. So for example, if you say, I'm not receiving candidates, can you help me? What's going to be a little bit more helpful for our team to investigate that for you, maybe you have a particular job. I have this job posted. I don't seem to be getting candidates. Is my posting working correctly? If you can provide the job ID, the job title, that's going to help our team take a look in your account and see what's going on. So the more details, the better. If you have any examples, if somebody's not pushing from Recruit into the onboard system, the higher name is really going to help our team investigate that for you. So if you could just put some detail in there, I'm trying to push this particular hire, their name is this, into the onboard system. It's not working. That's going to help them investigate that for you. Any screenshots that you have, any examples, please provide those as well. You can upload an attachment or a file, and you'll simply submit that. That will go into the queue for our team, and then they will certainly prioritize and get back to you as soon as they can on that question. Okay, so again, that is available in the upper right of your screen, this orange box with question mark. Your account management team, we're here to help as well, but if it's something more how-to, functionality related, if something's not quite working correctly, our technical support team is going to be best to help you without us being a bottleneck necessarily. Okay, with that, we'd like to open up the floor to questions. The questions don't have to be related to the topic we just discussed. It can be, again, general questions about ApplicantStack functionality. We're happy to help with those.
All right, Carol, I'm going to jump in. Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Ellen Benzine, and we have just one question so far, but as Carol mentioned, please feel free to go ahead and input your questions, and we'll field them as we see them. The first question, Carol, is from Monica, and the question itself is, what's the main difference between basic and premium texting in ApplicantStack?
Okay, the main difference, premium texting has everything that basic texting has. In addition to, premium texting offers the ability to trigger an email in your workflow. So when you change a candidate to a particular stage, that can be automated for you. So let me head over to my candidates tab. I need to find somebody with an affiliated texting number. And if I change, I believe I have it triggered, maybe it's at interview. Go ahead and submit that. You can see we now have the ability to trigger a text message at a stage change. Okay, the second main difference is when you go to launch your job, you will have the option to create a text to apply code word. Candidates will be able to text. In this case, I've created the code word account to this phone number, and that will send them an application via a text message. They'll be able to click on a link and they'll be able to apply from their phone. And if anybody would like, you can go ahead and text that code to this phone number to see how that will work. That will give you an example of that. Okay, so those are the two main differences, triggering in your workflow and text to apply.
And then you want to discuss the price difference too, Carol?
Sure. Basic texting is $35 a month for your account. Premium texting is $95 a month for the account.
All right. And that is unlimited texting. So quite a bargain. Next question, Carol, is how do you delete repeat candidates? Oh, wait, before you answer, Monica said, awesome, thanks, Carol, for your prior response.
Sure thing.
So anyway, the next question is, how do you delete repeat candidates?
Repeat candidates. I'm not sure that I would recommend deleting anything out of the system. I was always taught to keep everything in there in case there's a question about history, or what you might want to do is create a separate quote-unquote job for duplicate candidates, or maybe put them into a stage called duplicate candidate record, something of that sort. I might recommend handling it that way rather than deleting anything out of your system. You could, if you wanted, on the candidate record, there should be an option. I need to move my GoToWebinar panel over. We do have that trash can, so if you absolutely want to, you could delete it. But again, I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that.
All right. So the next question is, when you submit a ticket for help, can you request they call you instead of just an email response?
Sure. Our support team is open to that if the issue truly can't be resolved by through the ticketing system. They like to have history, background information. So if you have a question down the road, they can refer back to that ticket and see all that information. So they really prefer to handle it via the ticketing system. But if it does require a phone call, again, I would put as much detail in there as I can, or as you can, and then that's going to help them determine, is this something that needs to be a phone call? Can it be handled otherwise?
Right. It's always got to start with a ticket for those reasons that Carol just said, is to provide as much detail as possible. And then it provides history, and it's also education for all of us who look at those support tickets as well. So submitting a ticket is always the first step.
Right. And Ellen, you just reminded me, if somebody's out of the office, then another team member can go back into that ticket and refer to what's happened. So that's going to be helpful as well in that situation.
All right. That was from Lissa. Next question, Carol, from Derek. When searching for applicants by their telephone number, is there a specific format that we should follow?
That I'm not 100% sure on, because candidates might put it in different formats. So you're talking about the search functionality available. So I see what you're saying. It could be that there's dashes. It could be that it's all jumbled together. Unless your account's restricted to have a certain format for that phone number, I'm not sure if that's the best way to search for your candidate. I might search rather by name maybe by email address, since that's going to be a pretty standard format. Not sure I would use phone number, but I imagine it would have to match what the candidate inputted as. But I would probably use different criteria if possible.
Or you could start with like the area code and then maybe mix it up with different criteria. Yeah.
Some have a cell phone number, a home phone number, so phone number gets a little tricky. I hope that answers that question.
I think it did. So let's move on. This is from David. Is there a way to track an outbound email to determine if the receiving email was opened or read?
Is there a way to do a read notification? I'm not sure on that through the system. I'm leaning towards no, but that may be something our support team could help answer for you, but I don't believe there's a way to do that. Would you
David,
agree?
we'll get back to you on that. Sorry, Carol, I interrupted you. My knee-jerk reaction is with you, Carol, that we don't have the ability to do that. It could be that our technical support team does, but a standard ApplicantStack user, my knee-jerk reaction is no. But David, we'll get back to you on that. All right. The next question is from Sandra. Is there an option of a duplicate candidate? Is there an option of a duplicate candidate, and where do we make that candidate a duplicate candidate?
Well, the system will restrict candidates cannot apply to the same job more than once. It's going to look at their email address, and it will not allow them to apply to the same job. They can apply to different jobs. And I don't know if I have an example in this account, but it will give you a little red alert next to their name. So I believe it's somewhere in this general vicinity, and it will show you that there's a duplicate there. You'll be able to hover over that or double click on it, and it will show you where else that candidate has applied. Does that answer that question, Ellen? Did I miss anything there?
Sandra, if we didn't answer your question, can you please key in another one and just try us again, please? All right, Jeff Krause, hello. So Jeff's question is, when a candidate uses the text to apply function, does the system create a candidate record?
Yes. Yep, they will fill in an application. So they'll click on that link, they'll get an employment application, they'll fill it in on their phone, and then that will create a candidate record.
All right, Jeff.
And
so a great example. Oh, go ahead, Carol.
Backing up to that last question, I did find an example of duplicates. So I have this
great.
There's a duplicate record, so I can hover over that and I can see where else they have applied. So hopefully that helps answer that question. Sorry for interrupting.
No, I was just going to add to Jeff's question. So the way I always visualize text to apply is, it is in my mind like a retail location, and they've got a poster board outside, and it'll say, hey, hiring customer service reps or hiring cashiers, input this telephone number and input this code word. So once a potential candidate, Jeff, inputs the telephone number and the code word, then a text is sent back and they begin the application process. So it conforms to whatever the application process that's already in place in the account. So Carol, I think once the application is complete, that's when the candidate record is created, right?
It should be, yes.
Okay, good. And again, Carol gave you the telephone number or showed you the telephone number for her account. You can always text that phone number if you want to bring it back up, Carol, and input the code word, Jeff, and you'll get a link back to start the application process.
Okay, and it is just my demo account, so it's not a stellar application. It's just an example.
Right, exactly. All right. We'll keep going with the questions. And the telephone number is there if anybody obviously wants to try the text to apply feature. All right. Keep going. Next question. This is from David. Can the system handle 2 onboards, one non-union and the other union, are 2 different types of onboarding? I think this question probably has to do with multiple onboarding workflows, Carol.
That's what I'm thinking. So in our onboarding system, you have the option to create multiple checklists and multiple workflows. So let me navigate over to onboard. In your library, we have multiple checklists available. So you can see here I have a few. You can create checklists. So maybe you have union checklist, you have regular checklist, however you want to name that. And then you'll just drag over any tasks relevant to that situation and any forms relevant to that situation. Okay, and then on your Hire tab, or if you have it triggered in your workflow, you can go ahead and assign that checklist. It's going to assign all of those items all at once. Okay, so if I go to myself, I add a checklist, I'll select the appropriate one, and that's going to add everything at once. The other piece to that, let's talk about the workflow. Workflow is going to automate actions that happen. So as you're aware, you can trigger emails, text messages, and so forth. Notifications can go out upon stage changes and so forth. So again, this is just my demo account, not too much going on here, but you can create multiple workflows if you have different steps that every hire is going to go through. So you can create workflow in addition to the default one that's already here.
And just to bring it full circle, so David, you could create a union workflow in onboarding and a non-union workflow. And you can choose the candidate or the appropriate workflow, per candidate, on a per candidate basis. All right. Next question from Polly. Carol is, can you please explain uploading forms for onboarding and making them fillable?
Sure. So in your library, there's 2 options for you. You can create your own custom forms, or I need to close some things out here, bear with me. Okay, so under form templates, we can either import forms. We have standard forms available, so your state tax forms, your federal tax forms, your I-9, your W-4, and so forth. We have some miscellaneous ones, so there may be a direct deposit form in there. So you can select the ones that you need and import those. If you need to create your own custom forms, what you'll do is go ahead and add form. You'll be prompted for a PDF. And then once you do so, you'll see something similar to this. Let's go into the North Carolina W-4. You will go ahead and give that a name. And the instructions you want to include is that a form that only the hire is going to complete. Is the employer going to complete it? The hire, then the employer? Or do we have employer, then hire? So let's say it's the I-9 form. The hire needs to complete their section, then the employer comes in and completes the employer section. That would be a relevant situation to that. You should see your form pop up, and it looks like my internet is running a little slow, but you'll see the form. You'll see fields highlighted in blue, and you will simply drag over anything you need. Let me try a different form. Maybe that will work better. Here we go. You can drag those items over onto your form if you need. So let's try single line text, multi-line text, signature box. You'll put that in the appropriate section on the form if those are needed. and then you'll simply save that and that will be available.
Excellent. All right, we're getting some thank yous, Carol, from prior people who posed questions. And then Rebecca did make a comment about the phone number search, or why she likes to search by phone number, and that's if they receive a call and want to know who it is. I've made a note, Rebecca. You know, I'll see if our technical support team has any suggestions there. But as Carol said, phone numbers come in, or people input phone numbers in so many different ways. That's going to be a tough one, but I'll check into it for you, okay? Next question, Carol, is, so is there a stage to put someone in a duplicate stage like Carol mentioned, I think? This is coming from Sandra.
Yeah, I'm going to go back over to Recruit. That is completely customizable. So under your setup, under configure, should be application stages. So let's just run through a scenario. Maybe a candidate doesn't show up for an interview. I don't have a stage to put them into. I could create a stage called no show for interview, and then that will be available for selection. So maybe create a stage, duplicate profile, something of that sort, and then you can put the candidate into that stage. You could sort by that filter, do a search later, but that might be an option for you. The other option was maybe create a job, call that job, duplicate candidate job, something of that sort, and then move candidates. I would use add a job or set job. Set job will take them out of job 1, put them in job 2, and manage them that way. I'm really hesitant to delete anything. Wouldn't you agree, Ellen?
Oh, yes, I totally agree. Yeah. You want history, you want audit trail. Yeah. Best practices, don't delete. All right. Next question. And this is, how do I put the resume tab on the candidate page next to summary? And this is from Valerie. Valerie, I think you might be from Homestead, and I wonder if that's a Homestead setup. So Carol, the question is, how do I put the resume tab on the candidate page next to summary?
Okay, well, yeah. It looks like the resume tab is next to summary, so unless your account's configured differently, I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah.
The default is they are next to one another.
Right. So Valerie, your account manager, again, I think you're from Homestead, is out of the office this week. So Carol and I will check into that and see whether or not it's a property that can be added. All right. Okay, Jeff Kraus did try out text to apply, and he says thank you very much. So you've got a good feel for that, Jeff. Next question from Valerie. I am getting candidates applying more than one time to the same job. How can I block them?
Okay, if they are using the same email, they should not be able to. So if they're using multiple email addresses, I'm assuming they're doing that to get around that in the system. I don't believe there's a way to block them from applying necessarily from the system, but what you could do is put a note into their history and make it global. So maybe put a note, this person is applying to each and every job, do not consider, you can make that global. And then that note will show across all the applications. So again, I don't know if there's not a way to block them, and I'm not sure that would be legal to do that. That would be something you would want to check with your team on, but I might recommend putting a note in there, making it global, do not consider for any job, something of that sort.
And I'm also wondering, Carol, if there's a property about that. that in Valerie's case is allowing candidates to apply for the same job more than once, even if they do have an email address.
Yeah, maybe.
Same email address. Yeah, gosh, there's something in the back of my mind that is thinking that. So Valerie, that's the second thing we'll get back to you on. Oh, here's another Valerie question. Is there a way to put in screening questions that will block them from applying if they are not qualified?
Okay, so you can certainly put a KO or a knockout. So let's say a degree is required and they say, no, I don't have one. You would build out a questionnaire to gather that information. And then KO will mean knockout. So if I go into this profile, I can see what question it was specifically. So in this case, I don't have a degree, that's a KO. So you could easily have that be flagged. Again, it's not going to block them or prevent them from applying, but it will give a KO. And I would always verify that. Somebody may misclick. Maybe they clicked, I don't have a degree, but then in their resume, they list that they do have one. Maybe it was an error. So, you know, I would certainly use that as a guide, but I would verify that information.
And a candidate, even if they are knocked out, as Carol stated, will be allowed to apply. They don't know they've been knocked out, but they can continue the application process. We don't block them from doing that. And the rationale to that is, even if a candidate is not qualified for a particular opportunity, maybe they will be qualified for a job down the road. So when you search your applicant database, when you've just created a new job, maybe that candidate would be applicable for that new job. All right, next question is from Liz. If a user has Recruit and Onboard and wants premium texting, do they get premium texting for both platforms for one price?
Correct. It works across the platform. So in both systems, it will work. There's no additional charge. It's account-based.
Which is excellent because, again, basic texting is $35 a month and premium is $95, and it does span both Recruit and Onboarding. Let's see, we're getting some more thank yous, Carol. Here comes the next question. Can you go over the questionnaire steps again?
Sure. So to create a questionnaire, there's a couple of different places you can do it from. You can do it from within the job as you're creating it. So if I come to a job and I come to questions, I can see right now the application for employment is attached and I have a county manager questions attached. So I can either create new questionnaire or add from library. So new questionnaire, you'll just add a question. Is that a yes, no question? Is it a multiple choice? Is it a select many? A date. It could be when are you available to start? Something of that sort. So you'll simply keep applying those as you build that out. So is that a yes, no question? Are you available to work weekends? Okay, you'll apply that and you'll just go to the next question and keep building that out. You can also add from library. So in your library, you'll have an option to build questionnaires and then you'll select them here. So I want to attach now, what would be relevant? We have an assessment here. I can go ahead and attach that assessment. Okay, so you can either build it out in your library or from within the job. You can build it out or attach from your library.
All right, that question was from Amy. And Amy, I'm just going to editorialize. Screening questions using our questionnaire capability, I think, is just something everybody should do. Because again, it does allow you to not only draw information from candidates during the initial process or really anytime during your workflow, but it also allows you, as Carol showed, to see if, you know, with that red KO square, a quick visual of who is a qualified candidate for the opportunity and who isn't. So it's a time-saving mechanism that you would go to those candidates first who have a high score or are certainly not knocked out. So I would ask you to try your hand at creating questionnaires if you haven't. And it's actually kind of fun to create a questionnaire. So, and if you have any questions on questionnaires, as Carol said earlier, submit a ticket. Okay, so next question. Oftentimes, and this is from Kelsey, our emails from AppStack to candidates or in-office staff are defaulted to their spam folders. Is there anything I can change on my end that would help guide it to the primary folder so they are sure to be seen?
Sure, and our support team can probably help you with that. We call it whitelisting, and you'll want to instruct candidates to whitelist emails from ApplicantStack. That's a little bit more technical. They're going to be able to better help you than I am, but you'll want to get that message out maybe via your, well, if they're going to the spam, they may not see it in an email, but maybe on your job board you want to list, please whitelist ApplicantStack. Our support team is going to be best to guide you on how to do that.
And some of our customers not only put it on their job board, as Carol stated, some put it in job descriptions as well. And if you have, and so the term whitelisting, and I didn't know this until a bit ago, but it allows emails that would be coming again from the domain ApplicantStack to go into the primary folder as opposed to a spam. So it's like your emailing system would recognize those coming from ApplicantStack. All right, next question. I just texted apply to that number. How long does it take for a response from AppStack? So that's from Monica. And was your code word apply, Carol?
I believe it was account. Should be pretty quick. So maybe double check.
Yeah.
Yep, account, and that is my local 919 number.
Okay. So, Monica, I don't know if you texted the code word account in the subject or apply as stated in your question, but you can go ahead and try that number again. Carol's got it up. Try with the code word account, and you should get a fairly immediate response with a link to begin the application process. All right, we've got another question, Carol. When I tried to edit a current application to take out some parts and remove the coding part as well, it would not let me and said other candidates have answered these questions.
Right, so I would always send any application changes to our support team. That is correct. So if you have an application and a candidate has already answered that and you delete that question, then that becomes an issue because prior answers will be deleted as well. So I would always send any changes to our support team. They're going to be best able to help with those changes.
And it might be that they clone the current one, modify it, and then you use the new one.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
But they're going to be best able to help you to ensure you don't delete anything that you don't want deleted out of the system.
Yeah. All right, and Jeff Krause said he got his response immediately when he tried the text to apply, and Monica has gotten her response now, and she says it is immediate. So all good there with text to apply. And again, that's a means of proactive recruiting. So if you have some sort of marketing campaign going on, or if you are in a retail opportunity, or you've got foot traffic, again, you can always promote text to apply with the account text phone number and the code word. So excellent, Monica. I'm glad you tried it again and you were successful, and then you too, Jeff. All right. The questions have slowed down. And they've actually stopped, Carol.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So there are a few that we need to get back in touch with folks with specific answers. And the only other thing, Carol, that we were talking about was discussing, and you did this at the top of the hour, subsequent webinars.
Sure, sure. So I'm going to check the chat box and see if those have made it. And if they have not, we will go ahead and get those out to you via email. But let's take a peek here. Information for the webinars upcoming November 1st and December 6th. So there is a registration link there. So we would love to see everybody there. Again, that's going to be an overall overview of each system. So maybe a half-hour overview of Recruit, a little bit less for onboard, but start to finish, what's important, creating a job, working with candidates, setting up your library. Maybe we'll go into reports a little bit. So we'll do an overall overview that's going to help you. If you have a new user, just would like a refresher, it's really up to you, but we look forward to those. And that should be available again in your chat as well. There may be a flyer about premium texting. And again, if not, we'll go ahead and get that out to you via email.
And then all webinars will also be announced in the announcement section on your ApplicantStack Recruit homepage and onboard page too.
Yes, thank you, Ellen.
Yeah. Carol, I don't see any other questions.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I think our work here is done today. So thank you, everyone. We'll be sure to get back on those few questions, remaining questions that we had, and we appreciate everyone joining today. So we look forward to seeing you in the future.
All right, we're getting a lot of thank yous, and we thank you all for participating as well. And we look forward to the next one.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.